The Old Guard is the latest Netflix original action film, and it debuted yesterday. I checked it out with my wife, and here's what I had to say about it. First off, The Old Guard tells the story of a team of immortals who use their superpowers to try and help people in secret. But when their secret is discovered, they must fight for their freedom. So as I went into this movie, I went in totally clear, totally blind. I had not watched the trailers before. I knew very little about it besides Charlize Theron, Netflix action movie. And so that probably is one of the better ways to watch this movie because of the way the reveals, twists, and turns inside of it are done. In addition to that, this is a movie that is based off of a comic book, and I'm not familiar with the Old Guard comic book at all. I've never read any of it. I didn't know the premise. Once again, I went into this movie essentially totally blind with a pure viewing experience. So with that in mind, before I give you my take, go ahead and tell me what you thought down below in the comment section, or if you're watching live as I'm streaming this, tell me in the chat, what did you think about the movie? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Is it somewhere in between? And from there, let's get started talking about the good. And for me, I'm an action guy. I'm not shy about that. I talk about it very frequently. So anytime that we get kind of one of these mid-budget action films, I get pretty excited to check them out because that's a genre that is slowly disappearing from the theaters. Most kind of big action films have moved into blockbusters, comic book movies, sci-fi adventures in space, and those mid kind of tier action movies are going away, or they're being sent direct to video, and Netflix is kind of filling that gap, which I absolutely love that they're doing that. And part of that is that they're kind of taking some of this A-list talent and creating those mid-level, mid-budget action movies of the past. Along the same lines, also clearly I'm a comic book movie person, so when you take R-rated action, combined it with superhero mythology stuff, it's kind of the best of both worlds for me and something that's going to be right up my alley. And one of the things that works really well here is that the action is done rather well. You get a whole mix of things. You have people being shot in the face. You have people punching each other in the face. You have people kicking each other in the face. You have people swinging around swords, ancient axes, doing twist turns, flippy kick type stuff throughout the entire thing. And Charlize Theron is up for all of this. I mean, obviously when Atomic Blonde came out, the Keanu Reeves comparisons, because of John Wick, some same team worked on both films. The comparison was obviously there, but you jump forward 4 more years, and like she really is kind of that actress that's been around a long time that is continuing to establish herself as someone that goes all in with these action roles, because you're watching it, either they did incredible face swapping or she was like, they show her run up, jump up on the person, spin around on top of them, flip them over, and then you see her face. Seemed an awful lot like she was the one in the middle of all of these fight sequences. And as I said, it's a variety. It's not just kind of one type of action on loop for the whole film. You get a variety of different types of things. And if you're like me and you like people to get punched in the face, shot in the face, axed in the face, you get all of that here. And you even get some like gnarly, there's a really gnarly kill in the third act, actually from the guy that played Jafar in Aladdin, flips a guy and something nasty happens at the end of it. And it was absolutely fantastic. But a lot of the cast is quite strong here. It's one of the things that elevates the film a little bit. One of the people on the antagonistic side in it is Chiwetel Ejiofor, who's just very good at playing these kind of calculating characters that have a sympathetic side where you can truly believe that he believes what he is doing is the right thing. And it makes you care more about this person that has done horrible things. Like you want him taken out because of the stuff we saw that he did. And then we get kind of that understanding of where he's coming from. And he can play it in such a sympathetic manner that it elevates the material quite a bit. I mentioned this a little bit earlier. You can see on the right side of the screen, it's a Jafar from Aladdin. I thought he was much better in this than he was in Aladdin. I thought it was kind of a bit of a miscast for him in Aladdin. I think he is actually the weakest part of that film. And here I thought he was actually did a good job, and he fit the film that he was making, the character that he was playing. You could believe him in all of it. So, I've only seen him, to my knowledge, in Aladdin and in this to any depth. And I thought he was quite a bit better here than he was before. And then I believe it also has Dudley from the Harry Potter movies, now as 30-year-old man or whatever, and still just as prickish as ever, but in a very different way. It definitely makes for a villain that you want to see getting taken out in a brutal fashion. Another thing I really dug about this film is that it has a very deep mythology to it. The main plot line revolves around kind of these immortals. And so as the film goes along, you start to get their backstory, understanding of why they are the way they are, and these kind of exploration of what they struggle through on a daily basis that has led them to be the people they are at the beginning of the film. And in doing so, it does a really nice job of combining the story, mythology, the themes, the emotion in a way that as you go through it, as more things are revealed, it just kind of keeps getting better and better. At least it did for me. And it made me want more. I went, oh, okay, I see what's going on here. I wonder what could happen with this, what you could do with this. I wonder why this happened. And not in the way like there was a bunch of loose ends, but in the sense that they really built intrigue in this world. And as I mentioned, it did get better for me quite a bit as it went along. Like, it ended on a high note, and I went, yeah, man, I hope they do another one of these. With that said, let's move on to the mixed aspects of the film. And on this one, if you haven't seen the film and you want to go in cold, you don't want to know anything about it, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but I'm gonna get a little bit close to that line a little bit on it. So if this is a movie you're really worried about being spoiled, skip over the next minute or so, but I'm not actually giving spoilers, but I'm getting close to it. And essentially, as you go into the film, the move towards the end of the film, there's two different betrayals in it that follow kind of the same exact sort of path of, we see someone do something that just makes us feel betrayed and we want to see that person taken out. Then the movie kind of reveals why it happened, and you go, oh, okay. They give us this deep backstory, and then the way kind of each of them are resolved, where they take each of them, is too much the same. Like, they parallel each other. I thought each of them were done well. They did created a scenario where I went, oh, I get why that person did that. I understand. But at the same time, it having two different betrayals that run parallel to each other in the arc that they have for the character in many ways was just odd, as if like they didn't realize that these are two very similar betrayals. We should probably change it up just a little bit. So I like the way they were done. I liked either one of them, but not done the best in being parallel. From there, let's move on to the bad aspects of the film. And for me, it just took a little while for me to get into the groove of the film. It wasn't a movie where immediately, like, I just fully got what it was going for. Like, I thought the action was cool. I was enjoying it just enough. I was like, okay, that's cool. They're immortals. Where are we going with this? And it wasn't until about 45 minutes into it, 50 minutes into it, where kind of the plot really kicks into gear. They give some of the backstory, and I was like all in. And, normally you want to do a better job of kind of hooking me sooner than 45 minutes into it. And once that happened, like I said, I was kind of all in. I was getting invested, and I enjoyed it more and more and more. I think a little bit of that is because they're immortal, the movie takes a while to introduce vulnerabilities. So for the first half of the movie, you're watching essentially people in God mode. So you're watching them in fight scenes with no vulnerabilities. So that takes some of the stakes out of it a little bit. And likewise, it takes them a while to reveal their backstories, what drove them to where they are right now. And at the beginning, Charlize Theron's character is pretty detached emotionally. So you're like, okay, she's just kind of mean, cruel, and distant. And you understand why as you go throughout the film. So she becomes more relatable. But once again, that takes until about the second half of the film. So for me, it felt a little bit like all of the price of all the setup is in the first half of the film, and all the reward is in the second half. So it just got better and better as it went along, as it was able to move away from the setup into the payoff. And I wish I could have balanced having a little bit more satisfying moments, relatable characters in that first half of the film. But in general, it's a movie I thoroughly enjoyed it with my wife. Be sure to tell me what you thought down below in the comment section if you were able to check this one out. I really dug this different take on the comic book movie genre, where it very much is a mid-budget action thriller, but it also very much has comic booky characters and comic book movie mythology blended together. Wish I would have picked up a little bit sooner. The action was great. Some nice performances throughout. I would give this one a solid B+, and I sure hope it does well so that we can get a part 2. It teases some stuff that I would definitely like to see where that's going. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want more content like this and you're watching the replay of it, check out that video right over there. I don't even know what it's going to recommend to you. Tell me what you thought down below in the comments, and keep talking movies too much.